Good evening, everyone, and welcome to This Week from Rockdale. And I am your host, Larry Cox. We are running a little late tonight, and it's my fault, not my guest's fault. I had to run out and get my granddaughter, and you guys know how that goes. When your granddaughter says, "Papa, you got to come get me," you got to go get her. So that's what I did. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to have Mr. Arlan Gibson on here this evening, and we're going to talk to him about his plans for becoming the new Post One Commissioner, replacing Sherry Washington. So without further ado, let's bring on Arlan Gibson. Arlan, great to have you tonight.
It's great to be here, Larry. I'm honored to be here. This is the first time that I've been on your program, and I'm one. I guess this would be appropriate for me to introduce myself.
Yeah,
Um,
why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody why you're running and a little bit about what you want to do.
all right. Well, first of all, just tell a little bit about myself. I'm a longtime resident of Rockdale County. Uh, I'm um, I'm a former police officer and correctional officer. I'm a member of the VFW and American Legion, so I'm a Vietnam combat veteran. I know I don't look 65, you know what I'm talking about. And but I'm 75, and my wife really doesn't really like me to tell my age. But anyway, I'm a former pastor. I studied at Rutgers University, majored in political science and minored in business administration. I got my BA in religious study at Beulah Heights Bible Study, and been a former member of the Rockdale Chamber of Commerce, also the Rotary Club, and I'm really been a servant of people and in the community for a number of years. Even since I was a young man, I always had, a desire to go ahead and make changes. And if I saw something that should be changed or something that was wrong, I wanted to go ahead and try to make it right. So I've always been involved with community service, and I guess a lot of that comes from also my church bringing up. I've been in church. I've been a former pastor for a long time, and I've dealt with all kinds of people from all walks of life, from all ethnicities, and all hues and colors, or whatever you say, nationalities. So those experiences with human beings have allowed me to prepare myself to work with the public and to run for this office. To be honest with you, now there are a few things that I always talk about. There are three core issues that really concern me. That's environmental responsibility, economic development, fiscal responsibility, and I had to add one onto that: uh, ethical leadership. That's something that is very important in your leaders, because there has to be a sense of trust. So when I talk about environmental responsibility, I talk about much of the building that's happening here in Rockdale. Uh, I mean, really outrageous building to the point where it's become injurious to our communities in terms of raw sewage, in terms of water backup, the storm waters in communities, because of the overbuilding in Rockdale County, and it can't contain that. So that's one of my issues, and I think that what must be done, I am declaring a partial moratorium on on building, and the reason why I do that, because our infrastructure has to catch up with it. You can't keep building and the infrastructure can't take it. You're going to have a lot of sewage problems and water backup problems in the neighborhood, of which I have in my neighborhood too. I see that those stormwater manholes, how the water just backs up in it, and there's a reason for that. And so I want to go and have a moratorium on that. And I think having the moratorium on that is what I call environmental responsibility. That's just one part of it. The other part is economic development. We need to bring more business, more corporate business here, so that so that we could ease some of our tax burden. And those companies that come in, we would love to have their employees relocate to our area. By doing that, it allows our tax revenues to increase and hopefully uh, have an effect on our tax burden. So having those companies come in, whatever kinds of incentives that we need to do, without giving up everything, but in a way that's going to attract them and come in. Um, there's been a lot of talk and concern that I hear from a lot of the citizens about when we start talking about economic development, we're talking about bringing in those corporate partnerships, but also the kind of businesses. We talk about the fast food business. All right, everybody goes to Mickey D's or McDonald's or Burger King's and stuff, but we also want to have wholesome restaurants where you can have a nice dinner and be with your family, a family kind of thing. So those are some of the things that I would love to go ahead and push forward. There is an economic development department. I don't want to call any names, but I think that we need to go ahead and put some fire underneath that economic development department and whoever's running it to go ahead and make it a major concern and priority to bring in those kinds of businesses and what we have to do to bring them in. So it will help, um, I feel, brighten the image
Let
of
me let me
Rockdale County.
let me ask you: do you feel that the Rockdale Conyers Economic Development Authority has they've slanted everything? In my opinion, this is the way I see it. They've slanted everything toward the city, and the county has in large been left out of the development of the economy in Rockdale County.
Well, Larry, that's a very interesting question. Yes, I do believe that, and I think the county gets a shaft on that. I've been told that the city, and I may be wrong in this, but I've been told that the city has the power to annex unincorporated property. Now, if I'm wrong on that, let me know.
No,
But it
you're
has to,
correct.
but it
You're
has
correct.
to get, huh?
You're correct.
Yes. So, and then it has to, I heard that it has to get permission from the county. That's what I heard. And a judge told me that. So I was,
But this thing about they share taxes. What this is a misconception that people have. They think,
mhm,
well, once the city gets it, then they don't pay county tax. No, that's not the way it works.
right,
Once the city annexes, then you're paying the city and the county. The county doesn't lose out, right?
right.
But what I think happens is we've developed too much in this. You were at a thing I was at, I believe, the other day, and
Hmm.
when the mayor point blank said, well, there's no more land to develop anything. We've developed every inch of land in the city. He actually made that comment because when somebody said something about the liquor stores, well, you don't got to worry about it anymore because there's no more room to put anything anymore.
Well, I think he did say that,
He did say
and
that.
but we do have in the county we do have some land areas where we are able to host some businesses or some corporate headquarters, and in fact, there's about 67 acres off of Irish Drive between Salem Road and 138 on that access road.
It's all that has sewer and it has sewer capability, right?
That's right. I'm pretty sure it does.
Yeah, because it's
Um,
right there off the interstate. So I think 5 miles either side of the interstate. I think
it
you
had the sewer and stuff.
you have the sewer.
And so
Yep.
that makes it much easier when some of that infrastructure is already in there in case you have to to go ahead and build something, or a shopping center, or whatever, a hospital or whatever. It's already there. So we got some land. That's just one part of 67 acres there. There's 20 some acres. I mean, it's all over the place.
Well,
And
but this is the thing about it. Look, I think it's a hard sell because we've done so much developing now with these homes. I
yes,
really think it would be a hard sell to sell anything else at this point. That's why I think you're going to have to put the. Do you feel you're going to have to put the stop on things for a little bit, and regroup and get the citizens' trust before you would actually try to do any more development?
well, Larry, yeah, I think that's a viable approach, and I think that what I suggested about the moratorium on building should
Hmm.
take place. I think there's certain rules that need and guidelines that builders have to obey when they come into the county. They can't just do clear cutting, just cut down all trees and don't leave any green space. That's a lot more money for them because they sell that wood, and they have various streams of income from that. But I want to go ahead and halt that clear cutting in there, and hopefully that's not in their development plans. And studying, um, there should be also, I feel, that when it comes to financing, fiscal responsibility was my last item that I really didn't get to. But I think that what is incumbent upon the leaders of Rockdale County is that we have a citizen or independent group or committee that includes professional staff and constituents when there is that I mean to give input on economic priorities.
A economic advisory committee
That's
made up of
right.
citizens.
That's right. And I think some of the other some I know there's one candidate that suggested that, and I'm all for that because it gives people a sense of having some input.
I
Uh,
believe one of the chair candidates recommended it.
I think so too. Uh, and okay, Larry, I got you. Yes, one of the chair candidates, and I think they should be able to weigh in on some of those financial decisions. And even though they're weighing in and their advice may not be binding, but at least I mean, listen to what the people are saying to you from those committees. That's been one of the problems of this.
And that's where I'm going to get into a big quick because we got asked a question in the chat, and it's about your opinion about the $100 million bond issue with the PFA. And I think there's where you're coming about. This is one of those issues that never got community buy-in.
That's
They
right.
circumvented the community with the PFA to get what they wanted. When there was ballot questions, the citizens in 2018 voted 70%. They did not want a $140 million bond.
Right.
So the three people that were on the commission then, which are on the commission now, found a way to bypass the citizens. So what do you think about the $110 million project,
Well,
and what do we do moving forward, Arlan?
I think that that bond was fiscally irresponsible. So what I mean by that, if we have a place and it's county-owned land, and I'm speaking specifically over on Parker Road over there by Wheeler Park, where we could have actually built the courthouse or the Justice Center for $40 million, and now because we own that property, the county owned that property, but those people who are in the office right now, they chose to go ahead and do something else, and which inflated the price of that justice center. Now it's 140, and it's probably going to be a lot more than that when it's all over. Larry, you know as well as I know as a business person, there are going to be cost overruns, and there's always going to be additions, either to the levels of the parking lot and
I,
everything.
I think I got shared an email today that I think the county already had something on the agenda that there was a $6,000 electrical overrun already. So
Yes.
we've already got our first change order of a $600,000 overrun, from what I'm
Right.
understanding, with an ORR, whatever.
Mhm.
That's interesting when you bring up, you know, about the changes in Parker Road and all
Y-
that, and
Yes.
bypassing the citizenry, and because there were a lot of people who were upset when the county gave a and they did, even though they're doing a lease thing for
Hmm.
88 cents a month. That
Is it
they and when we say we gave it away, they say no, we're leasing it, and I know 88 cents a month
88
for
cents is a giveaway. You
that's
know,
the most valuable piece of property in the county,
that's
right?
right.
It is. It's the most valuable piece of property in the county, and people. I
And
mean, anyone would love to have that property, that would love to invest in it, do something. The county owned it. Did you ever get a chance to talk to former Chairman Wheeler or former Commissioner Vaughn? Because they were both on the board when that was purchased, and both of them will tell you that they purchased that property to build a courthouse and administrative complex. That
right.
was the reason for the purchase of that property. And I think Richard Oden will tell you the same thing, because he followed those guys right after, right? So we do see that, that was the intent of the commission when they bought the property, and then
Hmm.
somehow we've just
We
really
we
gone off
we
course.
yeah, we just went in a different directions. But isn't that indicative, Larry, when you see these kinds of things of people not listening to their advisory committee? They're not listening to the people of Rockdale. And I brought up something the other night when we had the forum at the Alpha Kappa Psi uh, political forum, is that whatever happened to government of the people, by the people, and for the people? It's almost like it's lost now. People don't care. They're in there for their own interests. They want to do what they want to do, and they're not listening to their constituency who put their behinds in office. And I'm gonna tell you something. These taxes, that's another hot issue with these taxes that are being raised. I've had people to come to me. My own taxes have been raised at least 1,000. Well, it is $1,000. And I had someone else come to me and tell me that their property taxes went up 2,000. Somebody else told me 2,500,
Do you know,
2,500. It's
Arlen? Do
ridiculous.
you know what percent? Which I have a chart right here in front of me, and I think Voices for Rockdale has put this out on several different websites.
Hmm.
Are you aware of what percent the property taxes went up between 2018 and 2023, just for the county portion?
Well,
The
I think
BOC.
18%, and then there was a
Well,
38%.
it's 77.5% tax increase
Hmm.
just from the county, just from the BOC.
Wow.
Then when you add the city of Conyers, now people that live in the city,
Hmm.
they actually did 54%,
Right.
right? 54.4. And then the Rockdale County Board, 55.3. So if you actually lived in the city, you had a 187.2% tax increase over the last 6 years, right? So
Right.
that is,
That's
absolutely
preposterous,
well.
man.
And if you live
That's
in the county, if you live in rural Rockdale, right? Rural Rockdale, that
that's
comes
South
to
and North Rockdale.
well, that's not in the city. If you do not
Right.
live in the city, then you have a 133% tax increase. It's actually 133.8. So I want to say 134%.
Well,
134% if you're just a county resident, don't live in the city. If
hmm.
you're a city resident, 187% property tax increase.
That's
Or
crazy.
is that let me ask you a question. You're a senior citizen, right? I'm
I am a
closing in.
senior.
I'm closing in on it. So is that a sustainable tax model for an aging population like Rockdale County?
No, in fact, it puts an extra a burden on those people who are senior citizens, and you're really taxing them so much to the point where they're on a fixed income, many of them, and how are they going to sustain a standard of living that they have with this kind of tax runaway? And it's something it cannot be sustained for any period of time. And what eventually that's going to do, that's going to have an effect on the quality of life on people's life, and it's not going to be an attractive kind of thing for recruiting people to come into our county when we have this kind of high taxes. And I said something the other day. I feel that the taxes are now to the point where during uh, the American Revolution, it was like taxation without representation. You know, you're being taxed and you're not being represented. Folks are not listening to you.
Well, I
And
mean, we're being taxed and we're pretending to be represented.
that's right.
Well, Arlen, this is, I mean, right now you're a citizen, and probably one of the reasons that, I mean, one of the things that irritates me the most, well, I'm going to tell you what irritates me the most, is when citizens go up and they talk about these issues, they complain about the taxes, they complain about this, and then the chairman says, "Well, you need to give us an opportunity to educate you." I mean, I
As
think
if we're
I think the citizens of Rockdale County don't need an education
we know
on.
when our taxes go up.
They know when their taxes go up, right? And
Right.
and they know this is. Would you agree? Think what I think the citizens really feel is they're not getting value out of what they're paying.
No, I think that's true. They're not getting value, and you can't really get value if you tax people to the point where their quality of life is being diminished. Yeah, you're not really getting value out of that. Just the other day in the forum, I heard commissioners say that they went by a tax guide, some type of tax guide, and they said how they raised the taxes was one of the lowest parts or percentages in the tax raise. And it got sort of like a woo from the audience, like, what are you talking about? A low.
Yeah,
So
it's that
they're
it's
not in
that
touch.
not in touch with reality, right?
No, 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 not in touch with reality. And I think that when you have these kind of people who are in leadership, it's they're not fiscally responsible, and if they're not listening to the voices of Rockdalians, I think that at some point in time, you need to kick them out of office. And as you give an example, Larry, if there was a coach who was losing games season after season, they're going to have to change the leadership. And so it is even with politics or with any type of entity that's not producing, you have to go ahead and make some changes so that there'll be some changes.
I've always felt this, Arlen. I always felt that, I'm a term limit person, and part of it I believe is because once somebody serves so many times, their leadership becomes stale, right? Because they run out of ideas, and most of the time they're too stubborn to listen to anybody else, so they just repeat the same thing over and over again.
I know a lot of people. I know some people that are like that, where you can't tell them anything. That's the reason why my pastor always says that if you want to be a good pastor, you got to get the smell of the sheep. You got to be there with the folks and listen. And if you listen to the people and your citizens, you hear what they're saying, and then you can adjust your policies to be able to go ahead and fit some of their desires and their demands. Now, uh, having said that, that doesn't mean that every suggestion that you should adopt because you hear it from somebody. But if they're reasonable, if they're sensible, if they're logical, if it's in the best interests of the city and the community as a whole, I think that's something that we should adopt.
I know something I'd like you to address and then actually give your opinion about it.
Hmm.
So it's the land purchasing that the county has been doing over the last, 8 years under the leadership of Nesbitt. Do you think the county should continue purchasing land, taking it off the digest, and getting the county millions of dollars in debt for land purchases?
Well, that goes back to my fiscal irresponsibility, fiscal responsibility. That that's irresponsible. If you keep spending and you keep taking money out of the financial coffers of the county, eventually you're going to be in deficit spending, and you can't sustain that. The federal government does that now. Um, and it's a shame because at some point in time, something's going to break. And you can't continue to go ahead and physically be irresponsible with the purchase of property and land or whatever. I think these things have to be thought out very methodically. Um, before we start acting on it. Just the flagrant buying of property and land because you can do so and you have the power to do so is something that
I'll
we can't
mention
do.
I'll mention one piece, one land parcel that they bought specifically, the Costly Mill Park, and I think most citizens think that was a waste of money. We've not seen an return on that investment. So I mean, they have spent millions of dollars out there. So
Well, you know,
what do you think about that particular investment? And
constantly.
would you look at
Mhm.
selling that or something, or what would you think we should do?
Well, first of all, I would love to get input from the citizens of Rockdale regarding that. Put out the facts. Just that, as they used to say back in the day on my one of my favorite TV programs, of which a lot of the young folks wouldn't remember today, with Dragnet. And Jack would always say when he asked someone the question, he says, "Just give me the facts, ma'am, just the facts." So we have to find out the facts, see the numbers, and if there's not revenue coming in to substantiate what we paid for it or show some kind of fiscal outlook that's going to be promising, then we need to go ahead and decide what we're going to go ahead and do with it. You don't continue to go ahead and have something that's costing you money and you're not getting in enough revenue to sustain it or make a profit. And so that's my feeling about it. What we should do, I think we should go ahead and take a look at it, bring it, and get the feedback from our community and from our people, and then upon looking at that and seeing what um, the best decision making that we should do with Costly Mill or any other kind of project that's out there that's not really um, keeping up with some financial responsibility.
Arlen, we've had quite a few people join us, and they want to make sure that I just tell the people what we're doing here. So I'm interviewing Arlan Gibson, candidate for Post One Commissioner to
I'm running
replace
against Sherry Washington.
to replace Sherry Washington. I was going to say
That's
that.
right.
That's his slogan. He does everybody know.
That's right.
I'm running to replace Sherry Washington. So if you drive by West Avenue and Arlen's out there with his sign, he's going to yell at you when you go in to vote. I'm
That's right.
Arlen, and I'm running against Sherry Washington.
That's
And
right.
when he does that, people just go, "Hey!" They give him this thumbs up and smile.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
people are very excited about somebody running against Sherry Washington.
you
So
know, it's really not surprising because of the kind of well disposition that she has. She and I don't want to get into a personal attack, but what I do want to do is look at the record and her disposition in dealing with people, and everybody knows that it's not the kind of interaction with people that are really positive and stuff. And the other thing is when you can vote on along with some of the other leaders in the county, vote on different things that are going to hurt the county. I think there has to be some change. And we're going to go ahead and get that change. And we're going to have a new administration. And myself, I'm going to listen to folks and I'm going to act accordingly. Um, I'm not in this political arena for self-aggrandizement. I'm here to go ahead and serve. And if I can serve and make it a better community, a better county, then in the words of Dr. King, then my living won't be in vain because I've done something to help humanity. That's the reason why not too long ago I received a honorary doctorate degree in humanitarianism, and what someone saw as a compilation of all of the community things that I've done with drug addiction, helping people on drug addiction, um, running and doing mission trips, and all sorts of things. So that gives you an indication of where my heart is. I don't care about the money. The money in as far as this part-time position at Rockdale commissioner is what, 35,000 or 42 or whatever.
Whatever it is, 'cause they just gave themselves a
They just
raise,
gave
got a
themselves a
raise.
raise,
Yeah, got a
but they
raise
give
last
themselves
year.
a raise and then they raise taxes.
Yeah.
You go
Well,
figure.
and then they say we can't, and we're going to get the five commissioner thing in a second. They say we can't do five commissioners because we're going to have to raise your taxes.
Right.
And this is from a group of people who have never found a reason to raise taxes. And the only thing they come up with when they don't want to raise, well, we can't do five commissioners because we'll have to raise your taxes. And we're not, and this is a group of people who have never seen a tax they didn't want to raise. So, I
Well,
mean, that's not true, right? That's not, Arlen, why don't you talk about five commissioners? Tell them why you think we should need it and why you think the current administration doesn't want five commissioners.
well, they don't want five commissioners because they want to go ahead and have that little small group that has all the power to make the kinds of decisions that are going to affect your lives. They want to keep it within a little small group. When you have five commissioners, there's a little bit more diversity, a little bit more different input from the other commissioners. I I agreed there was a HB 741, House Bill 741, and it was introduced by one of the state legislators. And I agreed with the five, but I didn't agree with all the other kinds of things that went with it. But
The ethics czar and all that stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
yeah, with the
There was a lot more in it than I get that.
yeah, and that required a lot of a little bit more um money that we had to go ahead and outlay in terms of salary of staff and all that kind of stuff. But I was more interested in an oversight committee instead of a czar. There might be some difference of opinion on that, but I think a czar, ethics czar, is really reactive. When
All,
something happens, then you go and punish them.
are you aware that we actually have an ethics committee now
It's inactive. It's really
that's inactive and that this commission fails to actually staff, and it's a voluntary one.
right.
Just like we have a water and sewer authority
Authority.
that is actually inactive. And as far as the water and sewer authority, I didn't know if you were aware, but that was created by an act of the legislature. So the commission is actually in violation of state law
That's right.
by not doing, the only obligation they have is to appoint the positions. That's the
Hmm.
only obligation they have, and they are failing their obligation to appoint members to the water and sewer authority.
Well, I think there's somebody out here by the name of Kenny Johnson who is really dead on with sewer and water and stuff like that. And there are other individuals too that are out there. He's been very vocal about that, along with some other people too, about the sewer and about the raw sewage that's coming up in our community, uh, and it has to stop. And what was the other part of your comment, Larry, on that? There's a commission, a sewer and water
The sewer
commission.
and water commission, yeah,
It's inactive.
it's inactive, and it's against the law for it to be inactive.
That's another thing that
And let me tell you what they have said before.
mhm.
They've said when they break the law and they know they're breaking the law, then they say, "Well, sue us and make us enforce it."
Well,
And they know that, right? They know
well,
that we
yeah,
would have to sue them to make
I'll
them
be
do it.
darned. Isn't that something? What kind of stinking thinking is that? That's not stinking thinking. That's stanking thinking.
Jill Odom wanted to know something. I think because we do have a lot of people who've joined since you first
Sure,
did
come
this.
on.
Jill
Yeah.
has stated that what was your view on the increased development in Rockdale County? So I think you can circle back around and tell people what you think about the overbuild and all that.
Well, absolutely. There's, and you know what? There's too much of the overbuild, and I think a lot of that building was contingent upon Rivian, supposed to be hiring 5 or 6 thousand employees, and they anticipated that they were going to do it. But that Rivian is suspended now. And so where are people going to live? But the other thing, and I think what my listeners is trying to say, all of this house building, these homes and building, is hurting our environment. It's hurting our water. It's hurting our sewage. It's hurting the pumps that sewage goes through, which only can take a certain capacity. I don't know if it's 10 million tons or whatever, and the way they're building, it's like it's 90 million tons. But whatever that is, it's putting a strain on our system, and that we cannot have, because if it does that, then we're going to have to go and repair, and that's going to cause a lot of a lot of problems with the sewer and stuff. No, I don't like all of the home building that's being done here now, uh, and they have not listened to the people here in Rockdale. So I'm against that. All the building. Am
So
I
you,
against building per se? No, I like responsible building. If you build it responsibly and you have the infrastructure that can handle it, then it's a little bit more palatable.
well, I think also, as we talk about what some of the other candidates have said in the past about this, and I agree that what the problem here is we had a land plan, we had a growth plan, and they don't stick to that or their codes or their zoning, and they go in and they change everything on a whim to
Hmm.
anything anybody proposes, and they don't stick to a development plan. So if they don't stick to the plan, then there is no plan, and it's just like you're saying, everything is harmed just by this knee jerk reaction building that they're doing.
Right, right. There's no strategic planning. If you abandon the plan, then you have no plan. And it's amazing how the planning and development board can suggest something, and the commissioners just like, hey, so what? We're going to do what we want to do because it serves our interests and not the county's interests and not the people's interests. I think now, Larry, people are really tired and sick of tired of being tired, because they're really giving us the shaft, and I can't say it any other stronger than that.
Arlen, we have a good question here. Voices for Rockdale, they were asking, will you listen to the commission's recommendations?
Well, I will listen to the planning commission's recommendations when I know it's in the best interest of the people of
Well,
Rockdale.
but this is an issue. I'm gonna tell you.
Well,
If you've got a 6 or 7 person planning commission, they are citizens.
that's true. That's true. So I would be more inclined to give the ear and look at what they're saying, and then after looking and reviewing the information and their planning ideals, I would be more inclined to listen to them.
Lou makes a good comment here. Says you can't win constantly moving the goalpost, and that's
No,
what
you can't.
that's what you said. Basically, you said that, and I've said it too. Was about why them changing, not sticking to the long term plan. You're not going to win because you're not sticking to the plan.
That's right. And you know what? When you don't stick to a plan, that says something about people's personality. You don't stick to a plan, you're unstable in your thinking and your ways. And the good book says if a man is unstable in his ways, you can't accomplish nothing. So yes, in answer to the question of one of our listeners, Yeah, I would listen to the commission board. Would I listen and agree with everything? I may not. It all depends on their proposals, and you have to look at each one of them on an individualistic basis.
Yeah, that's a fair answer.
Yeah, yeah, you got to
That's a
listen.
very fair.
Name
Yeah,
that. But by and large, oh yes, I would listen to the planning and the zoning board. Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
Arlen, I think you had mentioned earlier that I think people are for change, right? And I
Hmm.
like to ask the audience a lot of things if they want to chime in. So audience, I'd like to ask you: do you intend to vote for a lot of incumbents in the county this year? I mean, just let us know. I mean, there may be one or so, but
I
do
will tell
you
you
do
that. Now,
you
before,
think do you think there needs to be change? And you can just say yes or no. The audience, do you think there needs to be change in Rockdale County government
it's time
across the
for a
board?
change. Oh
And
yes,
and,
I
and they're
think.
gonna say yes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, there's time for a change. If you start seeing some of the things that has been done under this leadership, it's time for a change. If folks don't listen and they put a deaf ear to what you're saying, then they don't need to be there. Yes, we need a change.
No, I asked if they're going to vote for incumbents, and well, I got
And
a
no,
no,
not me.
well, you know what they got here? I got, can I say H no?
No,
And then and then when I said we need change, and they said yes, yes, so that's it. I mean, people, the community is. I can think. I think we're in harmony for the first time in a long time in Rockdale County.
I think
The
so.
citizenry is about a change movement in the county, and it's not just about uh, people are so concerned about education in this county, right?
Yes,
Because you guys have been getting education questions, and it doesn't even relate to what your job is, Arlen. So has
right.
the chairman positions, the sheriff's positions. I mean, and people have just been getting all these questions about it because they're concerned on how a poor school system is reflecting on the county and its potential to move forward.
And that's so true because when you have a good school system, and I'm not running for the school system, but I'm a citizen and I have a voice, and I'm going to say what I feel, and I'm going to go ahead and reflect the desires of the constituents and the citizens of Rockdale. Uh, if we had a good school system, parents would move their families to this county. When you have a good school system, parents are looking for where do I educate my kids at? Is it good? What reading level are they at in the particular grade they're in? What is it? What about the teachers' credentials? A lot of different kind of things go into that, and when you have a good school system, it's going to draw people and families.
30 years ago, that was a draw for Rockdale County.
Yeah,
And it's not now, but 30 years ago, that was a big draw for Rockdale County and why a lot of the people that moved here during that era moved here.
and guess what? Look at Decatur, the city of Decatur. Now, maybe not all of Decatur, but a great part of Decatur, they have excellent schools by and large for the most part. And guess what? And they're rated high nationally. And you think people and parents are not looking at those kinds of statistics and deciding whether or not if they want to go ahead and relocate and move their family?
A couple of weeks ago, I was eating dinner. Well, not dinner. I stopped at Tokyo and after church, and we ate lunch, and I was sitting there with a young couple, and they were probably 28, late 20s. They were sitting there with their young child, and the lady looked over at me and she said, "Mr. Cox, I'm going to vote for you." I didn't say who I was or anything like that, and her husband said, "Yeah, we've been sitting here for 10 minutes. They didn't recognize you, and I had to tell them who you were, Mr. Cox." And I said, "Well, I appreciate that." So then I looked at the young man there, their son, and I said, "Where do you go to school here in Rockdale County?" And they said, "Oh, we don't see. We live in Rockdale, but we don't send him here. We send him to Decatur." I said because I had to say that, right?
That's
So
right.
that's exactly where they send the young man. So they said, and I said, "Why?" And they said, "Oh, the schools aren't good enough here." I mean, that's what they told me, right? I mean, it's like, you know,
It's truth smacking you right in the face with reality. And when that happens, then we have to do something about that. That's the reason why we need the kind of people in the school system that is going to elevate the standard in our educational curriculum. If we continue to allow that to go unchanged in a positive way, then we're asking for a recipe for disaster.
As a member of the board of commission, would you uh, be open to a more cooperative and communicative uh, a
A
way to
collaboration with.
collaboration with the school board?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I would certainly move in that direction and would want to go ahead and work with the school board. Sometimes when you have two different governmental entities, sometimes they don't want to work together because somebody is infringing on their territory.
What do you know? I would think it's more that I think the left hand has to know what the right hand's doing so that they can actually work. I think it more they need to know what each other's goals are, what they're doing. They have to have open communication
Mhm.
so that things move smoother in the county.
Well, you know, Larry, what you just said is a recipe for getting together and working together. And when you have that kind of mindset, things can get done. That's the reason why you're running for the post that you're running for. And with that kind of attitude and working with the BOC, the Board of Commissioners, I think that's going to weigh very heavily on making a change dramatically for the better in our educational system. And so, yes, I certainly agree with that, Larry, wholeheartedly.
Well, Arlen, I think we've covered a lot of things here. We've talked taxes, we've talked environment, we've talked everything. So, what I want to do now, I want to give you an opportunity to close out, tell people again, why they should vote for you, and how they can reach out to you if they need information, and let them know that you're going to be over on West Avenue, waving your sign and yelling, "You're voting
That's
against."
right.
I'm
Come on.
running against Sherry Washington.
Come on by and vote in early voting, and I'll be out there waving my signs. I got a big sign that says Arlan Gibson, Commissioner Post One. It's time for a change. Why? Because Rockdale rocks, but we really want to make it rock in the right direction. Uh, my thing that I would love to propose, and I said this a little bit in the beginning of the program, is that I would want to have a moratorium on building in order to update our infrastructure. That's number one. Number two, leadership needs to be more responsive to the concerns regarding environmental impact on our community, like what's happening there in Millside and the quarry mining. I was the only candidate that did a video and talked to the citizens of that community, that Hillcrest subdivision, which is right behind that rock quarry. They are, excuse my language, they are pissed at how the arrogance of the commissioners okaying a quarry in the middle of their community with that the chemical that comes from that could cause some brain injury. So I'm fighting with the citizens in that Zakaria area. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Uh, but to go against that rock quarry. And you know what? It's not over with yet because we're going to continue to fight. We're going to continue to bring these concerns to the EDP and the EPA and let them know that the citizens don't want that and the detrimental effect of those chemicals on their kids, on the plant. If they got a garden, that dust get on those vegetables and stuff, that's injurious to their health. So I'm going to go and fight against that. The other thing, I want to ensure that we get the right kind of staff, professional staff that's working in our county that's going to do us the right way, who are competent, and who's going to go ahead and put us in the better directions. Why do I want you to vote for me? Because I listen to people. Why? Because I'm a servant. I'm not here to go ahead and gain popularity. I'm here to serve. And if you see me, I'm going to be serving you. And that's what I've been doing all my life as a pastor, as a community activist, as a veteran with Veterans Affairs and stuff. I'm a member of the VFW and the American Legion and have been for a while. I'm a veteran. So all of you veterans that are out there know that I have your interests and your interests at heart. And I'll work for you to do the best that I can to make things better for you and the citizens of Rockdale. And thank you for having me on the show tonight, Larry. I hope this is not the last time. I'd love to come back on this show again
No,
if you
I'd
let
like
me.
to have you back on too, Arlan. I think it'd be
I
great.
like to do
So
a roundtable with some other folks and stuff. You know.
I got all kinds of folks that love coming on and talking. So I think we can do a round table sometime. So and Bill Campbell, who is also a Marine, just told you to simplify.
Oh, Bill Campbell. Wow. Wow. A Semper Fi man, huh?
Yeah.
All
Mhm.
right, but hoorah.
So
That's an army term
yeah, yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
I was an army combat veteran. I was a crew chief on the Huey helicopter. I did combat missions, reconnaissance, and resupply.
You were in Vietnam also, right?
I was Vietnam non-commissioned officer. I wasn't a lieutenant or a
No,
captain.
but you served in Vietnam.
I served in Vietnam and I
And
flew.
and Bill also served in Vietnam.
Oh, he served in Vietnam.
He sure did.
Well, you know what? We got to get together and do a little talking. I was in Bien Hoa, Phu Loy, Lai K, Vietnam. They call Lai K Rocket City because Charlie he used to run those bombs in there, those mortars in there, and I was lucky to escape injury. There's guys that I knew that I grew a friendship with, who came back from who didn't come back, and
And Bill just said Da Nang.
what's that?
He said Da Nang.
Oh, Da Nang. Oh, he was up north. That was where all the action was. Oh man, Bill was up there. That's action up there, man. It was hot up there because that was right on the what they call the DMZ.
Hmm.
Um, and Marines were stationed up there, and Marines were the best outfit to be there, Bill. I wanted to let you know that because you guys, when it comes to go ahead and defending territory, you guys are A1 at it, man. And I respect you and I honor you and I thank God for your service and what you've done for this for our country and my hats off to you, bro. You know, simplify all the way, bro. You know, so thank you, Bill, for serving.
Yeah. So I mean, so guys, I think the show has found a great friend in Arlan now. So I think we're going to have Arlan back on at some point, and hopefully we'll have Arlan back on when he wins this election, right, Arlan?
And that's right. I'll be back. We'll have a party and a celebration, and we're going to go ahead and celebrate and get ready to go ahead and do what we need to do to turn this county around from the
Right.
current leadership that we have now.
Well, guys, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Thanks for, I, like I said, I'm going to be doing a lot of these spontaneous shows and stuff because we got candidates wanting to come on.
Mhm.
But I appreciate it. Now our next show is I'm going to be scheduling that tomorrow, but we're
Mhm.
going to have chairman candidate Richard Oden will be coming on Sunday, and I'm going to have a special guest host also to help
Wow.
interview Richard. I'm going to have Mr. Ken Holmes on
Mhm.
the co-founder of the Rockdale Voter. So Mr. Ken
Mm.
Holmes, the co-founder of the Rockdale Voter, will be on here to actually help interview chairman command candidate Richard Oden. So I want to thank everybody for joining us
Come on
tonight.
out, man,
Come
and
on, yeah,
join me. That's right.
come on out to West Avenue, do early voting, and come see Arlan. Guys, thank you and good.